Hello, and welcome to this video of Nagasaki, the Atomic Bomb Museum, and Peace Park. The Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Museum is a remembrance to the atomic bombing of Nagasaki on August 9th, 1945 at 11:02 and 35 seconds AM. Along with the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, these locations symbolize the nuclear age and remind visitors of the vast destruction and indiscriminate death caused by nuclear weapons and a call for a commitment to peace. The museum was completed in April 1996, and it covers the history of the event as a story, the history leading up to it, and it covers the history of nuclear weapons development. At 11:01 a.m., Bockscar's bombardier, Captain Kermit Beahan, visually sighted Nagasaki. The Fat Man weapon, with a 5 kilogram or 11-pound plutonium core, was dropped on Nagasaki. It exploded 47 seconds later at 11:02 a.m. at a height of 1,650 feet or 503 meters. The explosion released the equivalent energy of 21,000 tons of TNT or 89.7 terajoules of energy. Nagasaki opened as a city to the Portuguese in 1571. It was Japan's only open port from 1641 to 1859. It changed from a trade port to a shipbuilding center in the course of modernization. Seen here is the hypocenter, or the ground zero or epicenter of the bomb. Fat Man exploded halfway between the Mitsubishi Steel Arm and Arms Works in the south and Nagasaki Arsenal in the north. This was 1.9 miles or 3 kilometers northwest of the planned hypocenter, and the blast was confined to the Urakami Valley. This is the view of Nagasaki after the fires had burned out from the bomb. Although the bomb was more powerful than the one used in Hiroshima, its effects were confined by the hillsides in the narrow Urakami Valley. Nagasaki City's population was between 250 and 270,000 at the time of the bombing, of which 60 to 70,000 died by the end of the year. Along with 70,000 civilians, 150 soldiers were killed at Nagasaki and a further more than 70,000 wounded. This compared to the 10,000 soldiers at Hiroshima. The hypocenter area on the day after the bombing. The buildings in this area were burned completely to ashes. The ruins seemed to have been crushed under a huge steamroller, and charred corpses lay scattered in the rubble. The devastation near Nagasaki Medical College, about 600 meters or 1,968 feet east by southeast of the hypocenter. Except for a few reinforced concrete structures, the buildings to the upper left were completely destroyed and burned. The building to the lower right is the Nagasaki Medical College Hospital. This is the gutted ruins of the Nagasaki Prefecture office, about 2 miles or 3.3 kilometers south by southeast of the hypocenter. Fires broke out and converged, causing an enormous conflagration. This is the devastation near the Nagasaki Medical College, about 600 meters or 1,968 feet east by southeast of the hypocenter. Except for a few reinforced concrete structures, the buildings to the upper left were completely destroyed and burned. The building to the lower right is the Nagasaki Medical College Hospital. Visitors to the Atomic Bomb Museum are greeted with a sign that says Nagasaki must be the last place exposed to an atomic bomb. Here we see a wall clock found in a house near Sano Shinto Shrine in the Sakamoto Machi, about 800 meters from the hypocenter. The clock was shattered by the blast and its hands stopped at 11:02, the moment of the explosion. There was a room that was a life-size diorama and recreation of the ruins around Hiroshima after the bomb. Concrete rubble is strewn around the room with a panoramic backdrop to help people visualize the surrounding area. This is a testimony of the ferocious heat. The fireball generated by the explosion assailed the ground below with a tremendous avalanche of heat within a short span of about 3 seconds. The temperature on the surface of the ground is estimated to have been between 3,000 and 4,000 degrees Celsius near the hypocenter and 1,800 degrees Celsius at a distance of 1 kilometer, more than 600 degrees Celsius at 5 kilometers, and the flash of the heat caused a widespread conflagration. Although the damage from the heat was irregular due to the topography of the Urakami Valley, people outdoors as far as 4 kilometers from the hypocenter suffered severe burns. Yosuke Yamahata photographed this charred corpse of a boy incinerated in Nagasaki, lying in the Iwakawamachi, about 700 meters or 2,300 feet south of the hypocenter. American forces censored such images in Japan until 1952. Scars from flash burns suffered in the atomic bomb are shown here. Keloid scar tissue accompanied by pain and itching forms 4 months afterwards. Atomic bomb keloids are more severe than normal scars. This display showed some of the effects of an atomic bomb, including subcutaneous hemorrhaging, ablation or hair loss, and atomic bomb cataracts, creating visual impairment. These are survivors waiting for help, located 1.1 kilometers or 0.68 miles south of the hypocenter. Unable to move, survivors were still waiting for help near the Urakami Railroad Station. Nuclear weapons are still being used. More than 2,050 nuclear tests have been conducted since 1945, and these have damaged ecosystems near test sites and caused injuries to local residents. All nuclear weapons are deployed on the assumption that they may be used, and the risk of their use emerges every time a conflict breaks out in the world. Moreover, nuclear weapons are not exempt from the accidents inevitable in complex technological systems. A variety of accidents, from mishaps in factories to mistaken launchings, have in fact already occurred. You can see here the stockpiles of nuclear weapons, the US with 5,044, Russia with 5,580, China with 500, France with 290, Britain with the UK with 225, Pakistan and India both at 170, Israel at 90, and the DPRK at 50. Stockpiles of nuclear weapons, the NPT Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty reserves the term nuclear weapon state for the US, UK, Russia, France, and China. Although NPT non-member countries such as India and Pakistan conducted nuclear tests in 1974 and 1998 and 1998 respectively, and declared their possession of nuclear weapons, Israel has not made a related declaration, but is thought to be an actual nuclear state, already possessing nuclear weapons. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea announced nuclear tests in 2006. The power of the Nagasaki-type atomic bomb, or Fat Man, which exploded about 500 meters or 1,640 feet above the northern part of Nagasaki City, is shown here. This recreation is also painted in the livery of the original bomb. The explosive power was equivalent to 21,000 tons of TNT, or highly explosive gunpowder, and it was as though 5,200 trucks, each carrying 4 tons of dynamite, were each detonated together all at once. But unlike dynamite, the atomic bomb also generated deadly radiation. The nuclear material used in the Nagasaki bomb was plutonium-239. The energy from the detonation of surrounding explosives compressed a sphere or core, tamper, of plutonium-239 in a supercritical state in which nuclear fission occurs. The neutrons emitted by the neutron initiator implanted in the center trigger the nuclear fission of plutonium-239. The many neutrons generated by nuclear fission caused a chain reaction, releasing tremendous energy in the form of blast, heat, and radiation, and destroying the city of Nagasaki. Only about 1 kilogram of plutonium underwent nuclear fission, and the rest was discharged into the environment as plutonium-239 atoms. Nagasaki was a modern city surrounded by gentle hills from east to west, a narrow bay stretching north to south in between. We see here, this is a video at the museum that shows the history of what's going on. So from the early Showa period, it had been an important munitions base centered around the Mitsubishi shipyard. Nagasaki City on August 9th, 1945, with a population of 240,000, temperature 83 degrees Fahrenheit at 11 a.m. That day, continuing from the night before, the air raid alarms were intermittently sounded. The B-29 reached Nagasaki at 10:50 a.m., 11:02, and the B-29 bomber named Bockscar released a plutonium atomic bomb 9,000 meters or 29,000 feet, or 5.6 miles above Nagasaki City. The bomb exploded 500 meters or 1,640 feet, or a third of a mile, up in the air above the Matsusuma-yama Machi area. The original aiming point for the bomb drop on Hiroshima was the Io Bridge, not a bridge over the Nakashima River in Nagasaki. The Io Bridge's distinctive T-shape made it easily recognizable from the air. At the moment of the explosion, the fireball, which developed in the mid-air, exceeded several million degrees Celsius at the point of explosion. The heat rays released in the fireball comprised of, according to the temperature, ultraviolet rays, visible rays, and infrared rays. The raw force of the heat rays emitted instantaneously can only be verified by the shadows literally burnt into objects. Burns developed keloids at the openings in about 4 months' time, leaving burn scars. Although this bomb was more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb, its effects were confined by the hillsides to the Hiroshima Valley. About 70,000 were killed in the Nagasaki bomb blast. The front end of the blast caused by the explosion traveled as a shock wave. It reached a distance of 3.7 kilometers or 12,139 feet, 2.2 miles from the explosion point in about 10 seconds, and approximately 11 kilometers or 36,000 feet or 6.8 miles in about 30 seconds. Once the shock was subsided, the wind flowed back in the opposite direction toward the hypocenter. Seen here, the trees on the slope in the Nagasaki Prefecture, Kihō Middle School. A picture of the Shirayama Middle School as it sucked in the dust and debris formed an atomic cloud. At the locations of the fire department and the fire brigades, at the hypocenter, firing facilities were destroyed, the water supply stopped, and the damage from fires began to grow. Fires ignited by the heat rays and secondary fires resulted in the destruction of the buildings by the blast growing larger. The scene from the Matsuyamachi area near the hypocenter. A total of approximately 6.7 square kilometers or 2.58 square miles was reduced to ashes by the fire and bomb blast. 67 towns, including Matsumachi and Yamazoto-machi, continued to burn until the next morning. As in Hiroshima, the bombing badly dislocated the city's medical facilities. A makeshift hospital was established at the Shizuokan Primary School, which served as the main medical center. Trains were still running and evacuated many victims to hospitals in nearby towns. With the explosion, radiation was released. They consisted of neutron rays and accompanying gamma rays. After that, beta rays and gamma rays from the products of nuclear fission generated by the plutonium continued to be released. The death rate in unshielded outdoor areas within a radius of 1,050 meters or 3,400 feet from the hypocenter was 100%. Radiation released within 1 minute of the explosion is called initial radiation. Alpha rays and beta rays has a low rate of transmission, for the most part cannot reach the ground. Gamma rays and neutron rays inflicted serious damage not only to humans but also affected the growth of vegetation. In the Nishiyama district, there was a concentrated downpour of radioactive fission products. Here shown a residual radiation survey conducted in the Nishiyama district. Radiation cannot be felt by the 5 senses at all. The tragedy of radiation brought about by the atomic bomb has not been completely solved even to this day. Next, we head to the Nagasaki Peace Park, which is located very close to the Atomic Bomb Museum, and we see here the hypocenter of the atomic bomb explosion, which happened at 11:02 a.m. on August 9th, 1945, and it exploded 500 meters right above this spot of the obelisk. The black stone monolith here marks the hypocenter. A fierce blast wind and heat reached several thousand degrees, and deadly radiation generated by the explosion reduced the city center to ruins. About 1/3 of Nagasaki City was destroyed, and 150,000 people killed or injured, and it was said that at the time that this area would be devoid of vegetation for 75 years. Now the hypocenter remains an international peace park and a symbol of aspiration for world harmony. This photo was taken in October 1945 and shows the black monolith that was the first structure built after the bombing to mark the hypocenter of the atomic bomb explosion. This is a 10-meter tall statue of a peace statue created by sculptor Saibo Katamura. Is a mixture of Western and Eastern art, religion, and ideology. The statue's right hand points to the threat of nuclear weapons. The extended left hand symbolizes eternal peace. The face symbolizes divine grace, and closed eyes offer a prayer for the repose of the bomb victims' souls. The folded right leg signifies meditation. The extended left leg represents the initiative to stand up and rescue the people of the world. A poem from the creator. After experiencing that nightmarish war, that blood-curdling carnage, that unendurable horror, who could walk away without praying for peace. This statue was created as a signpost in the struggle for global harmony. Standing 10 meters tall, it conveys the profundity of knowledge and the beauty of health and virility. The right hand points to the atomic bomb, the left hand points to peace, and the face prays deeply for the victims of the war. Transcending the barriers of race and evoking the qualities of Buddha and God, it is a symbol of the greatest determination ever known in the history of Nagasaki and the highest hope of all mankind. Here we end on the Fountain of Peace in Nagasaki Peace Park with a peace statue in the background. This is the Fountain of Peace constructed in August 1969 as a prayer for the repose of the atomic bomb victims who died searching for water and a dedication to world peace. Lines from the poem by Sachihiko Yamaguchi, who was 9 years old at the time, are carved on the black stone plaque in front of it, reading, "I was thirsty beyond endurance. There was something oily on the surface of the water, but I wanted water so badly, I drank it just as it was." Thank you for watching this video, and be sure to check out some of my other travelogue videos, and have a great day.